Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're getting into something really fundamental. What makes you, well, you?
It's a huge question, right? One of the oldest ones out there. And we're going to tackle it head-on by exploring this massive, lifelong process that shapes every single one of us. It's called socialization. So what is it really? In simple terms, think of it like this. It's the process that takes a newborn baby, who's basically a biological blank slate, and turns them into a person who gets the rules, the culture, and the whole vibe of the society they live in. It's literally how we become who we are.
So here's how we're going to break it down. We're going to use this idea of concentric circles to map it all out. We'll start right at the center with the self, and then zoom out, layer by layer, from our family and friends to school, and all the way out to the bigger culture that shapes everything. All right, let's jump right in. How do we even get a sense of me? Like, where does that feeling of being a distinct person even come from? Turns out it's a lot more complicated than you'd think. A sociologist named Charles Horton Cooley came up with this brilliant metaphor for it: the looking glass self. He said, look, our sense of self isn't just there. We're not born with it. We actually build it by looking into a kind of social mirror. We see ourselves reflected in how we think other people see us.
And this happens all the time, in this little three-step dance inside our heads. Okay, picture this. You wear a new shirt. Step 1, you imagine how you look to your friends. Step 2, you imagine them judging it, hopefully thinking, wow, that looks awesome. And then step 3, you feel that little hit of pride, or maybe even shame based on what you think they're thinking. It's all based on that perceived judgment. And Cooley himself summed it up perfectly back in 1902. So, you see, our self isn't some solid, fixed thing. It's more like a painting that we're constantly touching up based on the feedback we imagine we're getting from the world. Now, another thinker, George Herbert Mead, took this idea and ran with it. He split the self into two parts, the I and the me. Think of the I as your spontaneous, unfiltered self. It's the part that just acts. The me, on the other hand, is the socialized self. It's the voice in your head that has absorbed all the rules and expectations from society. So the I wants to sing out loud in the library, but the me is the part that says, hey, maybe not a great idea.
Okay, so we've got a handle on how the self is built from the inside. Now let's start zooming out to our first social worlds, those immediate circles of influence that shape us from day one. So socialization really happens in two big waves. First up is primary socialization. This is the deep, powerful stuff that happens when we're little, mostly with our family. It lays the foundation for everything. Then, later on, we have secondary socialization. That's when we learn the ropes for new roles in life, like how to be a good student, or a new employee, or part of a team.
And to help us picture all this, a psychologist named Uri Bronfenbrenner came up with an amazing model. He said to think about our social environment like a set of nested Russian dolls. We're going to unpack these layers one by one, starting from the very core.
Right at the heart of it all, that smallest doll, is the microsystem. This is our immediate face-to-face world. And, you guessed it, the most powerful agent in there is our family. This is where we get our first lessons in, well, everything. Norms, beliefs, even our starting place in society. The family's influence is just massive, and it sticks with us forever.
But family isn't the only player in the microsystem. We've also got our peer group. And while family sets the foundation, our friends really take center stage during those teenage years, right? They're the ones who shape our short-term interests, what music we listen to, the clothes we wear, and they give us a sense of identity that's totally separate from our parents.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. These different worlds, family, friends, school, they don't just exist in separate bubbles. They're all interconnected, constantly bumping up against and influencing each other.
And that brings us to the next layers in Bronfenbrenner's model. First, there's the mesosystem. This isn't a new place. It's the connections between your microsystems. Think about a parent-teacher conference. That's a direct link connecting your home world and your school world. Then you've got the exosystem. These are places that affect you even if you're not actually in them. Your parents' workplace is a classic example. If they have a super stressful day, you're probably going to feel that stress at home, even though you were never at the office. And school is such a perfect place to see all these systems at work. It's this little mini society with its own rules, where kids from all these different family backgrounds come together, and the connections are super clear. Studies have shown over and over that what happens at home, say how your family communicates, has a huge impact on how you'll do and feel at school.
All right, time to zoom all the way out to the biggest, outermost Russian doll, the macro system. This is the big picture stuff. It's the cultural blueprint for your society. The laws, the social norms, the dominant ideologies. It's the water we're all swimming in, and it shapes everything happening in those smaller circles.
Take social class, for instance. It's a massive part of the macro system. The social class you're born into can influence your accent, your attitudes, the kind of support you get from your family, and all of that has a major impact on your education and your life.
And it's the same story with gender. From the moment we're born, society starts teaching us what's appropriate for boys and girls. And this gets reinforced everywhere, in our families, in the media, and yeah, even in schools, often in really subtle ways. Think about how textbooks portray different roles, or even just how teachers might interact differently with students based on gender.
And finally, let's not forget about a huge player in the macro system, the state. Think about it. The education system in your country isn't just about math and history. It's a powerful tool for creating a sense of national identity. The stories we learn, the symbols we see, the holidays we celebrate, it's all part of a curriculum designed to foster patriotism and a shared culture.
Okay, so we've unpacked all these layers, all these massive forces that are shaping us from the moment we're born. The big question is, so what? What do we actually do with this information? How can we make it practical?
Well, this isn't just some abstract theory. It's actually a super practical guide. If you're an educator, a parent, or really anyone who works with young people, you can use this. It's about creating environments that foster positive social growth. This means helping students think through real-life problems, really pushing them to see things from someone else's point of view, and making the classroom a place where it's safe to talk about big, moral issues and listen to each other respectfully.
And that brings us right back to where we started. We asked that huge question, are we born or are we made? And I think it's pretty clear just how much we are made, shaped by the people, the institutions, and the culture around us. So that leaves us with one last really powerful idea to chew on. If society builds the person, who builds a better society? Well, we do. Understanding how all these forces shape us isn't just an academic exercise. It's the first, most crucial step in being able to consciously reshape our world for the better.